Hello, this is part 2 of the stacking video, but I don't actually talk about stacking. I talk more about plate solving and also photometric color calibration, which requires the image that you're doing the photometric color calibration on to have all of the plate solving information in the FITS header for that particular image. I hope it's useful. I kind of learnt whilst I was doing this video, so it's a bit disjointed, and for which I kind of apologise, but I think the information is there, so I hope it's useful to you. And it was at this point I realised I hadn't downloaded the star catalogues and configured PixInsight correctly to allow plate solving to take place. Hello! Yes, PixInsight, you have to download the star catalogues in order for it to be able to plate solve. I think I knew this, but I didn't do it. So my software will always fail to plate solve if it doesn't have a star database. The place that you get your star databases from in PixInsight is under your login for when you bought PixInsight. So if I go to the PixInsight website, which is down here, you can see here that underneath the downloads in here, you have to download the actual databases that you require in order to plate solve. Now, I've downloaded two databases. One is the APASSDR10 database, which is 2.4 gigabytes and took a little while to download. And I also downloaded the Gaia DR3/SP complete set database, which was this one here, which was just shy of 3 gigabytes. And I have put those into a folder, which is over here, if it'll let me drag it over. And basically it's in program files and pix files, and basically those two databases are there. And then in PixInsight, you have to configure your software to know where they are, which is kind of obvious, but I failed miserably to do this, so I'm going to do that now. I've actually done it, but I'll redo it. So if we go into processes, all processes, and go to Gaia, this is where you access the Gaia catalog. And if you go to the little spanner for the Gaia DR3 to point at that file which I downloaded, and then the same again, you go into processes, all processes, and APASS and select this, and then you go to your spanner again here, and you can see that I've put APASSDR10 and I have selected that file there. So those two processes now have been configured. I'm going to choose an old file, so this was taken back in the early part of 2022. It's of the Crab Nebula. So I'm just going to drag this across here. This was stacked in Deep Sky Stacker, and Deep Sky Stacker does not put the coordinates of the image that you took into the metadata in the image. So this is a good one to look at. So we'll do a quick screen transfer function, and we can see there the Crab Nebula M1. What I'm going to do now is try and plate solve this. So I'll go script down to image analysis and image solver. It then tells me if I was to run a plate solve, it tells me that something's wrong. It's told me here that I've not put an observation date in. What I need to do now is populate this information, but because this information is not in the metadata of this file, I need to add the metadata. Now I could very easily just look at when the frames were taken. So I can see here that it was taken on the 5th of the 1st, 2022. That's great. So I can put in 2022 there, and then the month was the first month of the year, and it was the 5th day of the year. And I'm just going to put it somewhere around 2200. And then in the search, I'm going to put Messier M1. So I'll go M1. And then search, and you can see there it's got Messier number 1, and that's it. So I've populated that data. Now that's fine, and when I go into the catalog here, I would just select the Gaia DR3, the local catalog which I have on my computer, and click OK, and now that will solve that image. And there we go. It has solved that image, and it has populated the metadata into that image. So that's great. So now that image has been plate solved. That's really good. However, there's another really easy way to put the metadata into this image. I'm going to close this image because the metadata has been modified with the coordinates already, and I don't want the coordinates, so I'm going to close it. Do you want to close it anyway? Yes, I do want to close it. And now I'm going to open the same image again. So I'll just drag my files over. Firstly, I'm going to open one of the light frames. So that's one of the light frames, which is unstacked. And here is that autosave, which was from Deep Sky Stacker, which I was using at the time. And we'll just minimize that. So we can see our original stacked image is there, which does not have the coordinates. So this is one of the light frames. It's not debayed. However, this frame, because it's a fits frame, it contains all of the information about the object you are imaging, which is amazing. If you go to all processes and then go to fits header, you can see here you can select between these two images. So it's selected this one here, and all of this information is present in the metadata for this fits file, which is amazing because it also contains the object, right ascension and declination and the time it was taken. That's brilliant. And if I now select this one here, it contains nothing. So the autosave from Deep Sky Stacker needs to have that information, and there's a really easy way of doing it. So for example, if I just take this, I've read the metadata from the original fits file. I'm now going to grab the arrow here and drop it onto that image there, and all of that information has now been populated into this image, this autosave. So if I now go here and select autosave, you can see all of the information, the mount I used, the object name, the camera, the date it was taken, everything is now in the metadata. If I close out of all of these, we no longer need this file as well, and we're just working on this autosave. If I now go to the script and down to image analysis and image solver, it has automatically populated the right ascension and declination, the date and the time that it was taken. And if I make sure that I go local XPSD server and make sure I've selected one of the Gaia ones there, the DR3, and click OK, it will now plate solve. It has now plate solved this particular image. So if I was stacking that information again and I wanted to use the plate solver, I would have to go through that process of inputting the data into this particular file. This is also really important for when you use the Photometric color calibration tool. If you go processes, all processes, and then Photometric color calibration, and then in this catalog here I've put APASS DR10, which is one of the ones we downloaded, because the metadata in here contains the right ascension and declination of this object. When I do a photometric color calibration, it will work. It has managed to perform the photometric color calibration because the right ascension and declination of this object, I'll just reset the screen transfer function. There we go. So that's now got the photometric color calibration applied to that image. That's why my plate solving was failing during stacking, because I hadn't downloaded the star catalogs which PixInsight needs in order to identify the object.